What happens when everything falls apart? When you lose what matters most? When doors shut, dreams fade, and you feel buried alive? Most people believe that's the end. But what if I told you this might just be the beginning? Throughout history, the world has witnessed moments where everything seemed lost, moments of complete defeat, where hope was gone. But in the midst of darkness, something extraordinary happens. Resurrection is not just a religious event, it's the greatest comeback story ever told. And it's not just about faith, it's about transformation, it's about new beginnings, it's about you. After all, we are all the image and likeness of our Lord Jesus Christ. Think about it. A man who was discredited, persecuted, publicly humiliated, tortured, killed in the worst way possible. And then 3 days later, the story completely changed. What if your life could change like that too? What if everything you've been through so far was preparing you for your own resurrection? Have you ever felt like your life was over? Have you ever faced a moment where you thought there was no way back? Have you ever felt discouraged, powerless, hopeless? If so, then this message is for you. You are not broken. You are under construction. Your past does not define you. Your next step does. Because no matter how hard you've fallen, you can rise again. If even death can be defeated, why can't you overcome your challenges? Jesus' resurrection is not just about faith. It's about the impossible becoming reality. It's about transformation. It's about a second chance. But above all, it's about you. He proves that failure is not the end, that pain is not final, that even when everything seems lost, there is always a way back. Resurrection is a model of transformation that we all go through in life. Think about it. Jesus was betrayed, humiliated, unjustly condemned, crucified, and buried. For anyone watching, it seemed like the end. But 3 days later, everything changed. What seemed irreversible became the greatest comeback story in human history. Now, look at your own journey. How many times have you thought your story was over? Maybe you lost a job, failed at a project, went through a divorce, or faced a major disappointment. But what if, instead of seeing it as the end, you saw it as a turning point? Starting over is not going back to the beginning, it's coming back stronger. Pain does not destroy you, pain transforms you. The silence before the resurrection, the value of the process. Jesus' resurrection happened on the third day, but what about the first and second days? Those were days of silence, days of uncertainty, days of waiting. And this is the most important detail. Between the fall and the comeback, there is a process. Many people give up because they think silence means nothing is happening. But it is in the silence that transformation is built. On the first day, you feel the pain. On the second day, you face doubt. But on the third day, you rise. The question is, are you willing to go through this process? Starting over requires a decision. Jesus didn't just resurrect, he stepped out of the tomb, he got up. And that's exactly what you need to do now. First, you have to change your mindset. Your past does not define your future. Second, embrace the process. Growth takes time. Trust your journey. And third, act with faith and determination. The impossible happens for those who have the courage to take the first step. No matter how deep you've fallen, there is always a way up. Your third day might be closer than you think. What's missing? Your decision to start again. Every new beginning requires transformation, but for something new to be born, something old must die. Jesus' resurrection wasn't just a return. He came back greater, stronger, more powerful. And that is the difference between merely continuing and truly being reborn. If you want a new chapter in your life, you need to let go of what keeps you tied to the past. What needs to die for you to be reborn? How many times have you tried to change only to be pulled back to the same old habits? This happens because you want a new beginning, but you're not willing to let go of what keeps you stuck. If Jesus had returned in the same form, his resurrection wouldn't have changed anything, but he came back transformed. And it's that transformation that separates those who just survive from those who truly rise again. What's holding you back from evolving? Fear of change? Attachment to the past? Doubt about whether you truly deserve a new beginning? True resurrection happens when you kill the old version of yourself, the one that doubts, that procrastinates, that settles for less than it deserves. Change is painful, but staying where you are is even worse. Imagine a bird trying to fly while carrying heavy chains. It has wings, but it remains trapped on the ground. Now, imagine it finally letting go of that weight. What once seemed impossible becomes natural. It simply flies. And that's exactly what happens when you accept your transformation. When you decide that the old you no longer serves you. You are not a prisoner of your story. You are the creator of your future. Resurrection was not an accident, it was a purpose. And your transformation needs to be too. Today you have two choices. Continue being who you've always been, or decide to become who you've always wanted to be. Your past does not define you, your next action does. If there's anyone who experienced a real-life resurrection, that person is Nelson Mandela. He was imprisoned, humiliated, and labeled a criminal. For 27 years, his life was reduced to a cold, lonely prison cell. The world moved on while he remained locked away, voiceless and forgotten. Most people would have given up. Many would have allowed hatred and resentment to consume their souls. But Mandela chose a different path. He did not allow his imprisonment to define who he was. He did not let the pain destroy his essence. Instead, he used that time to transform himself. Mandela spent nearly 3 decades in darkness, but when he was finally released, he didn't walk out as a bitter prisoner. He emerged as a leader, as a symbol of forgiveness, resilience, and rebirth. Just like Jesus, Mandela had a period of silence before his resurrection. There were years of silence, years where the world didn't hear from him, years when his fight seemed forgotten. And how many times do we also go through that silence? How often do we feel buried alive by problems, struggles, and moments where it seems like no one sees us? But here's the truth. Silence does not mean nothing is happening. In the darkness, Mandela was preparing for his rebirth. He studied, he reflected, he strengthened his mindset. He chose resilience over revenge. He chose to prepare instead of despair. And when the world finally opened the doors of his prison, he was ready. Mandela could have walked out of prison full of anger. He could have sought revenge. He could have let hate shape his future. But he chose something different. He chose to forgive. The greatest comeback stories are never just about revenge. They are about purpose. That's why Mandela's story became so powerful. Because he didn't just return, he returned better. He came back with a purpose bigger than himself. Just like Jesus didn't come back to dwell on the past, Mandela didn't return to reopen wounds. He came back to create a new future. The lesson for your life: when you rise again, don't come back the same. Come back transformed. Come back stronger. Come back better. Mandela's prison symbolizes the dark moments of our lives, defeats, losses, and failures. But his release symbolizes what happens when we choose to learn, grow, and prepare for a new beginning. Mandela taught us that freedom starts in the mind. That true transformation happens inside us before it manifests in the world. If he could rise again after 27 years of darkness, what's stopping you from starting your resurrection today? Every great transformation leaves a mark, and every resurrection has witnesses. Jesus didn't resurrect in secret. Hundreds of people saw his return. His comeback was real, visible, and impossible to ignore. And the same happens with anyone who decides to change their life. At first, many will doubt, many will mock, many will say it's impossible. But when the transformation happens, it speaks for itself. Who will witness your resurrection? Nelson Mandela walked out of prison as a leader, but before that, he was seen as a criminal. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company before he revolutionized technology. Cristiano Ronaldo was called weak when he started playing soccer before becoming a legend. People will always doubt your transformation until they can't ignore it anymore. At first, you will be questioned. In the end, you will be the proof that change is possible. Along your journey, you'll meet 2 types of witnesses. 1, witnesses who strengthen you. These are the people who see your potential before you've even proven anything. They are the ones who believe in you, encourage you, and push you to keep going. 2, witnesses who doubt you. These are the ones who laugh at you in the beginning, the ones who say you'll never change, the ones who try to keep you trapped in your old self. The secret? You don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need to keep going until your transformation speaks for itself. Jesus didn't need to argue with anyone to prove he was alive. He simply appeared. He was there. His presence was enough. And the same goes for you. Don't waste energy trying to convince people with words. Convince them with results. When you change, the world notices. When you grow, the doubts disappear. When you rise again, even your critics will have to admit they were wrong. People can doubt promises, but they can't doubt facts. Look at your life right now. Who is around you? Who believes in you? Who doubts you? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who laughs at you today. What matters is who will still be there to applaud your victory tomorrow. You can either let other people's doubts paralyze you, or you can let your transformation become the answer. Your resurrection is coming. And when it happens, the world won't have a choice but to see it. Many people see resurrection as a one-time event, something that happens once and changes everything forever. But the truth is, starting over isn't a one-time act. It's a continuous process. It's a way of life, because in life, you won't just need to rise again once. You'll need to rise every time you fall, every time you're challenged, every time life tries to knock you down. And the faster you understand this, the stronger you'll become. Jesus resurrected once, but his mission didn't end there. He kept going. He kept teaching. He prepared his disciples for something even greater. And that's how life works. You might win a big battle today, but new battles will always come. Every great leader, athlete, and entrepreneur knows this. Success isn't about winning once. It's about continuing to win, despite the challenges. Steve Jobs was rejected before he revolutionized the world with the iPhone. Nelson Mandela didn't change South Africa the day he left prison. It took years of relentless work. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team before becoming the greatest player in history. What do they all have in common? They understood that starting over isn't a one-time event. It happens every time life demands it. Every new chapter of your life requires a new version of you. What got you here might not be enough to take you to the next level. So every time you face a new challenge, ask yourself, what inside me needs to die so I can grow? What mindset do I need to let go of? What habits do I need to transform? What new skills do I need to develop? Because every new phase in your life demands a new version of you, how to live resurrection every day. Adopt a growth mindset. You're not stuck in your current version. You can evolve continuously. Don't fear change. The comfort zone is the graveyard of your potential. Accept that failure is part of the process. Mistakes aren't the end, they are rehearsals for your next victory. Surround yourself with people who challenge you. The people around you can pull you up or drag you down. Choose wisely. Resurrection wasn't just a moment in history, it's a life principle. It's a daily choice. So when the next challenge comes, when life tests you again, remember this, you've risen before and you can do it again. Because you are not defined by the times you fell. You are defined by the times you got back up. Now you understand, resurrection is not just a story from the past. It is a symbol of what you can live today. Starting over isn't easy. It hurts. It takes time. It will make you question everything. But in the end, it's always worth it. Because every time you rise again, you come back stronger. Every time you stand up, you are more prepared. Every time you overcome a challenge, you prove that the fall was never the end. It was just part of building your greatness. The world has seen many resurrections. The resurrection of Jesus, the resurrection of Mandela, the resurrection of countless people who refuse to be defined by their struggles. Now the world is waiting to see yours. You have two choices. Stay where you are, accepting your reality as final, or decide to rewrite your story starting today. No matter where you are right now, remember this. Transformation is possible. A new beginning is possible. You can rise again. You can win. You are not stuck. You are under construction. What to do now? Make the decision. Choose today that your life will no longer be the same. Your comeback starts now. Take the first step. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start where you are with what you have. Share your journey. Every resurrection has witnesses. Inspire others with your transformation. Now I ask you, what was the hardest moment of your life? How did you overcome it? Or what change do you want to make starting today? Drop your answer in the comments. Your story might inspire someone who needs this message. Share this message with someone who needs it. You could be the witness to someone else's transformation. Continue with us in this search for a better tomorrow. Subscribe to the channel to support us in continuing to bring more content like this. Your third day may be closer than you think. The only thing left is for you to believe in it.